Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, The Housewife Historian. We are here talking the Real Housewives of Potomac. We're going to be getting a premiere from them, I think, this coming Sunday, the week before BravoCon. And if you guys have not been on Twitter and Instagram, you're not aware of Gizelle and Candace's new storyline between the two of them, then you're definitely going to want to stay tuned. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to grow, and turn those notifications on, guys. It's so important. First of all, I don't want to talk about the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills yet, just because I know everyone. I mean, there's just been so much Instagram, Twitter, Kathy, Lisa. So I thought it would be a nice little break to talk about the Real Housewives of Potomac and kind of get you guys up to speed with what we can expect to see in Potomac. And of course, everything in this video is alleged. Now, the rumor is that Gizelle has made the allegations that Chris, Candace's husband, was inappropriate with her at last year's reunion. Okay, that is what Gizelle's story is, and she's sticking to it. Okay, recently read a statement that Gizelle made about how she really rocked with Candace in season 5 and felt like she stood up and backed Candace up season 5 reunion, and that she didn't feel like it was appreciated and that Candace could have cared less. And I think that's what really put the target on Candace's back this season with this whole Chris story. So again, Gizelle's storyline is alleging that Chris was inappropriate with her at last year's reunion. Now, a couple of things. Candace went and was interviewed by Carlos King, and he was really speechless most of the time. He was covering his face at one point, like doing this, when he was asking Candace about the whole Gizelle situation. And I'm going to fill you guys in on a couple of things that she said. She said, I ain't worried about Gizelle. Chris don't want that 50-year-old pussycat. She said basically Gizelle flirts with Chris because she doesn't have it at home. And so Candace said that like Gizelle would flirt with Chris in front of her. They were kind of flirtatious together, and that Candace just ignored it, and she chalked it up to the fact that Gizelle doesn't have male attention at home. Okay. She says Gizelle is a beautiful shell. She's a beautiful woman. She says Gizelle's a beautiful woman. She has a beautiful shell, but just like any other shell, they can get kind of funky on the inside, right? This is what she says on the Carlos King interview about Gizelle. We haven't even seen the first episode yet, okay? And Candace is going hard. Like, social media is her thing, okay? And so then Candace was live, and she was talking poorly about Gizelle again. And Chris was actually in the background. He was, like, on TikTok. So in the background, Chris is talking shit about Gizelle on TikTok, and then Candace is on a live, and she's kind of picking up on what Chris is saying in the background, right? And he's basically saying that it's unfair that he has to basically be accountable to his friends and family for these rumors that Gizelle, or for her allegations. He feels responsible to explain himself to friends and family. And Candace kind of inserts herself and says, interrupts from the IG live and says, that's not true, Chris. Like, it's not the show's fault that you have to explain yourself, right? And Candace continues. She said, not because of a TV show are you forced to answer to your friends and family. And she says that basically Gizelle has nothing better to do than to make up SHIT for a storyline and for a show that exploits her. This is where Candace starts to get in trouble. This is where Candace hurts herself more than she does good, because she doesn't understand, or she doesn't seem to understand, comprehend, or maybe just care that you can't talk shit about the network and the people that have hired you, right? You can't bite the hand that feeds you. You can't talk about Andy Cohen making his living and feeding his child off of people's backs and expect that there not to be any bad feelings. Like, I'm honestly surprised that Candace came back for another season. I'm not gonna lie. I'm surprised. She's probably not that expensive. I'm just joking. I don't know what she did. Anyways, let's not forget that there was a blogger that talked poorly about her, and she went and said that she hoped he died on like an Instagram or something live, and then like a couple months later he like keeled over and died, and she didn't apologize or anything, and people were really offended by that. Chris did leak out a little bit of information. Somebody asked if we were going to see a Scala, or how they were, how her and her husband were doing, and Chris says we're actually going to see them on the show this year on Potomac, which again, another surprise for us, because we didn't really see her at the reunion, and we know she was at the reunion. She looked amazing. She came dressed to slay, but producers did sort of what they did to Tiki Barber's wife in New Jersey. They had them come to the reunion. They had them dress like they were going to be on TV, hair, makeup, glam, and then just didn't simply feature them. They make a lot of accusations that Gizelle is doing this because her child support's about to run out. They go into naming off like the kids' age. Oh, the twins are 16 and the other one's 17. Those aren't exact numbers, guys. I'm just generalizing here, making a generalized statement that he said like the kids are getting older, the checks are going to stop coming in, and he basically starts to say like, look, do what you got to do to pay your bills. I'm not mad at you. I just wish that it didn't have to be me and Candiace, basically, but I'm not mad at you. Like, do you, when you got to pay your bills, pay your bills. Side note, does anyone know how to get rid of bees naturally? Like, I've tried vinegar and it doesn't work. And there's like a bunch of bees nests around my house, and I just was wondering if anyone had any information or helpful tips on things that I could use that are a little more natural to try to protect myself from the bees. Okay. Anyways, they also say that daddy issues run deep for Gizelle, which is a really big dig. I think that's pretty harsh, because now you're talking about her dad. And of course, they make hints about her being alone and being single and not having a man, and she's going to be running out of child support, and she needed a storyline, and basically any sort of insult, even down to calling her a bad mother in the beginning of the live Instagram video that Make It Make Sense posted. The very beginning, she's talking about how Gizelle is a bad example for her daughters, and what she puts out in the media is not conducive with a good mother. So, yeah, that's what we're getting from Candiace. She's really coming for Gizelle 100%. She's not leaving anything off the table. And it's almost like Gizelle was so insulted. I mean, she had to have been so insulted and embarrassed the year that Jamal was not at the reunion, the year that everything transpired between Monique and Candiace. I think Gizelle genuinely had a rough reunion. And it seems like if it's not Wendy talking about Gizelle not having a man, it's Candiace talking about Gizelle not having a man. And I think that Gizelle, I don't know. Do you guys think this show exploits her? Do you think that Gizelle is sort of a silent producer, like she's like a Kyle on the show, or maybe more like a Lisa Rinna, but just not that savage yet, like has the potential to be as savage as Lisa Rinna, but just isn't there yet, doesn't have the experience yet to do that? Because if you guys remember, Candiace came out in a live and she basically said that they had a plan, they had a meeting, they all went out to eat and talked about the storyline about making an affair rumor with Monique's trainer, and the baby possibly not being her husband's, and this whole thing they concocted while they were out to dinner before the season started. And so it just makes me wonder if Gizelle I don't know what she's doing, to be honest. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense that she would come for Candiace, except for the fact that maybe she's feeling hostile because she didn't feel like Candiace appreciated her at season 5 reunion, which was the only statement that I could find that was a derogatory remark where Gizelle spoke about her and Candace's relationship, a recent statement, and referred back to the season 5 reunion and feeling unappreciated and feeling like Candace could have cared less if Gizelle was there to support her. And even last year, if you guys remember correctly, when she was doing the music video, the drive back video when Candiace was, and her mother showed up to the set, and Mia was asking the mother about Chris and if he was getting paid. And Gizelle tried to act neutral in that later discussion when people talked about the situation with Candace's mom, and Candiace tried to act neutral. Giselle tried to act neutral about the situation, like she was pretending to kind of be Candace's friend, even though she knew it was making for good TV, and she was somewhat antagonizing it and bringing it up and talking about it, but yet in front of Candace sort of trying to be like a peacemaker almost. It just didn't seem sincere. And I like Gizelle. I love her and Karen. I do love that they can, fight and throw shade at each other and make up. That's amazing to have in a franchise. And I think that's why Potomac does as great as it does. And I'm excited for this season, but I want to know what you guys think. Are you going to be watching Potomac? What do you think about Candiace? Do you want to see Escala back this year? Do you? Make sure you leave a comment. Let me know. And again, guys, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, turn those notifications on. I will be in New York City on BravoCon Eve for Joe Gorga and Frank Catania's live stand-up comedy at Caroline's. So I'm probably going to be posting a lot of content, and you're not going to want to miss it if you're into the Housewives in New Jersey, I guess. So, all right, guys, have a great day.